Hello, America. Welcome to Friday. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the news that maybe I didn't get to on radio, brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Sadly, our economy is being systematically destroyed. And it's dominated by businesses that cater to the woke mob. These days, if you're a mobile service, you've got your chances of survival if you'll just play to the woke mob. But if you're tired of that, why don't you change? Why don't you come to Patriot Mobile, where they don't play any of the woke crap? For the last 10 years, they've offered nationwide coverage with access to all three of the major networks, equipping you with the same coverage that you've always had, but without sending your money to leftist causes. If you like free speech, religious freedom, life, the Second Amendment, then switch to Patriot Mobile. You're sending a very loud message. You support these things, not like the woke causes like Planned Parenthood. And Patriot Mobile has 100% U.S.-based customer service, so they're going to help make switching incredibly easy for you, whether you keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade, or both. Patriot Mobile is going to have the plan that you need. Just go to patriotmobile.com/Beck or call 972-PATRIOT. Get free activation when you use the offer code Beck. Join now. Make the switch. patriotmobile.com/Beck. All right. Some very important stuff that I missed. I did talk on radio on today's program on Friday, the time of this recording. I talked about how I think there's a turn in the country. And it's weird because I said maybe 10 or 15 years ago, about 2024 is when the pendulum's going to start swinging back. Back to common sense, back to reality. You can only go so far, so long. Here we are on the doorstep of 2024, and you have the mayor of San Francisco coming out and saying, maybe we should do some drug testing, before we start giving out money, because a lot of these people they don't care, and they'll poop in the street, and they'll keep doing drugs, and maybe we're enabling that. Really? Do you think so? Listen to this one. This is Mayor Bowser from Washington, D.C. Listen to this.
We need more officers. We don't have the officers that we need, and sadly, we've lost 300 to 400 officers in the last 4 years. We haven't had officers in our schools, and we have policies that make it difficult to recruit new officers.
I wonder what those policies are. I wonder what it is that what happened in the last 3 or 4 years that made them lose all of those officers. I wonder what it could be. Cities are starting to wake up. Here is the governor of New York on illegal immigration. Listen to this.
We have been welcoming. We have been gracious. We have been supportive. But we have to point out the fact and make sure that people coming across the border who think there are plentiful hotel rooms and services in New York City, we hit our capacity. So we're asking other areas to embrace these individuals, but we're not going to compromise who we are as a state with the Statue of Liberty in our harbor. So that's what I want to be clear about. That's important. We'll retain that, but we just need a slowing right now to help us manage the people who've already come and let people know it's not the way it was a year ago. We're at capacity.
Wow. New York is at capacity, and they've had maybe 200, maybe 200,000. How many millions have come across the border here in Texas? But not to worry. Texas is a big place, unlike the state of New York, which is also strangely a big place with a lot of empty land. But you don't want to lose your values. You have to slow down and maybe have some order. Maybe, take a breath. Why? Because it's sinking the ship, which is called New York. Actually, it's sinking all of America. It's amazing. I wonder how long it's going to take for those people in New York to connect now. Wait a minute. This doesn't work. Maybe we should be for order on the border and know who's coming in. No, I'm kidding. New Yorkers will never, ever get that. In fact, let me switch. I want to go to AOC here. So let's go cut 5. Listen to AOC on this.
Numbers of when it comes to people coming to New York City today are nothing. I'm telling you, nothing compared to the daily amounts of people that we saw coming in through Ellis Island in the first half of this century. We're seeing, more than 12 million immigrants that passed through Ellis Island between 1892 and 1954. And we had seen just huge numbers of people coming in per day that far eclipsed what we're seeing right now.
Right. We've only had about almost 3 million come across our border in 2 years. And they had 12 from the 1890s to 1950. By the way, comparing what's happening on our border now to Ellis Island shows what a moron you really are. You know why Ellis Island existed, right? Because you couldn't just come into the country. We had to see your documentation. We had to know who you were. We had to make sure that you had money, that you wanted to be an American, that you didn't have ill intent. You weren't a terrorist. And yes, AOC, they did exist. Strangely, they were terrorists from the left. But I digress. And also make sure they didn't have diseases. We're not doing any of that. So please pipe down with the Ellis Island. I mean, does it hurt to be that stupid? All right. Another one who must be living in an awful lot of pain. Cut 3.
On because he's got 91 counts pending right now. But I will tell you what the president has been guilty of. He has unfortunately been guilty of loving his child unconditionally, and that is the only evidence that they have brought forward. And honestly, I hope and pray that my parents love me half as much as he loves his child. Until they find some evidence, we need to get back to the people's work, which means keeping this government open so that people don't go hungry in the streets of the United States. And I will yield.
Thank God you yielded. Thank God. Because we're about to have a car crash there. Well, I don't even know where to start on that. Doing the people's work by keeping the government open. I don't know what people you're talking about. I saw the list of things that are going to close, and I'm pretty good with it. I don't know about you, but you know what's weird? The government shut down all of America. Well, except for Home Depot and those people who were, clearly into the ESG thing. They closed down all of America, all the small businesses, all schools. And yet we survived. Now, we did that for about a year. And that's weird because we were only supposed to do it for 15 days, to slow the spread. But if we can do it, why can't the government do it? I think they'd survive. I wonder if we could just propose 15 days to slow the spread of financial suicide. What do you think? Can we do that? And then we'll reevaluate in 15 days. We'll see how much. We're all like, oh. And we'll have to base that in reality, so we won't be able to watch mainstream media who are going to go to anyone who is affected. I wanted to go to a national park and it's closed. Well, it's not actually closed, but the bathrooms are closed. If the IRS can continue to work, I think we could still send out food stamps. What do you say? All right, let's see. Let me go to cut 4 here. We're having a problem with defining things. She just had a problem defining unconditional love. Did you notice that? He's guilty of unconditional love because, now try this out. This is, I've heard of tough love, but this is tough love. Listen, son, I know you're all screwed up. I know you have an alcohol and drug problem. You're doing crack cocaine all the time. You've been in and out of rehab. you're sleeping with your brother's sister and you got her hooked onto crack cocaine. It's a beautiful family thing we're now doing. But I'm going to encourage you to go right back to work, even while you're doing everything strangely again with your sister-in-law and hookers. But I'm going to send you to the worst oligarch who actually beheads people that get in his way. Why don't you go work for him? Just shadow him for a while. See what you can pick up. Yeah, that's tough love. That's tough love. Here's the thing about unconditional love. I love my children. I will always love my children. I will always be there for my children. But I don't have to love what my children are doing. Oh, you actually turned your little Charlie in. Yeah, it's Charles Manson. Don't you love him? You turned him in? Yeah, he's a killer. Wow, I feel bad that he had you for a parent. Are you out of your mind? A loving parent always loves unconditionally. If you happen to be killing people, you happen to be doing what Hunter Biden was doing, you love him by making sure he pays the price so he learns from it. God, these people, they're in so much pain. They're like, oh, stupid. I'm so, ow, I'm so stupid. They're hurting me. Ow. All right, let's go to cut 4, somebody else who has a problem with definitions.
At what point does this become an invasion of our country?
Well, I would never use that word. Not an invasion. This is not some pests. These are human beings, and that's the way they need to be treated.
Right. They're not some pest. Who's calling them pests? What are you? Have you been listening to Herr Goebbels again? Who's calling them pests? I don't know. When I see these are just wonderful families coming across, I can't find a family. In the video that I've been seeing from Eagle Pass, I can't find a family. I could have like a metal detector that just points out families. It would be silent. You know, I might find a bottle cap here and there, but I can't find a family for some reason. They're all like 24-year-old men. Now, let me show you how China defines an invasion. Do you know what their plan was to beat Russia if they ever had to? Their plan was to have 100,000 Chinese people cross into Russia and then surrender. And they'd be put in some camp someplace. And then the next day, another 100,000 would come in and surrender. By the end of the week, they'd have 500,000 people. They would be overwhelmed. And China's got more waiting on that. How long before Russia collapses and becomes China? That's their invasion plan. Wow, it sounds an awful lot like what's happening in America. You can't keep taking people in. What's happening in New York? They've got like 14 people. They're like, we can't do it anymore. This is happening all over the country. That's why, I know this sounds horrible, but that's why the lifeboats didn't go back to the Titanic to pick up more. Because people who are fighting for their life will drag you down. All of them. They'll overwhelm and swamp the lifeboat. America has always been the lifeboat for others to come and have an opportunity. But if you put too many people in the lifeboat too quickly without any system, you're going to swamp the lifeboats and then we'll all be dead. Hello? Gosh, one of these. Ow, I just had another dumb thought. Ow, that hurts. Okay. Here's some common sense coming out of the United Kingdom. Cut 6.
Uncontrolled immigration, inadequate integration, and a misguided dogma of multiculturalism have proven a toxic combination for Europe over the last few decades. I'm not the first to point this out. In 2010, Angela Merkel gave a speech in which she acknowledged that multiculturalism had utterly failed. And then French President Nicolas Sarkozy and British Prime Minister David Cameron echoed similar sentiments shortly thereafter. Multiculturalism makes no demands of the incomer to integrate. It has failed because it allowed people to come to our society and live parallel lives in it. They could be in the society, but not of the society. And in extreme cases, they could pursue lives aimed at undermining the stability and threatening the security of our society.
This person is a radical. I mean, because I know, when our, great-great-grandparents came over, or however many years it has been, I'm kind of glad I'm not having Wiener Schnitzel and pretzel all the time because my German ancestors came here. No, we still eat a Wiener Schnitzel. No, I don't think so. Our founders, they came over, took maybe one generation before we started sounding like this. And we're not like, excuse me, I have a stick up my butt. And, that tea would be delightful and maybe a little finger sandwich. Oh, my gosh. You blend in. You come here because you want to be an American. Sorry. I like to go, sure, I can go to the Savoy and have afternoon tea and crumpets and finger sandwiches, which I love. But I like that on a vacation. Here in America, I like just to drive through, Chick-fil-A, have a chicken sandwich, go home, put my feet up, belch a little bit, and watch something on the tube. Because that's what we do. Integrate. Multiculturalism has failed. That is shocking. Well, I'll tell you one place that is very multicultural, because they'll accept anybody, is Canada. Now, Trudeau has apologized for what? He was a Nazi? I didn't. Really? Who would have seen it? He's apologized now again because his first apology wasn't really an apology, and I think he blamed it on the Russians somehow. I don't even know. But here he is apologizing again for Parliament introducing a Nazi, giving him a standing ovation, and I don't know, calling it Nazi flagpole day or whatever. Here's Trudeau.
In a few moments, I will address the House in front of all Canadians, in front of Jewish people here and around the world, and Ukrainians, to offer Parliament's unreserved apologies for what happened on Friday.
Not his.
The Speaker was solely responsible for the invitation and recognition of this man and has wholly accepted that responsibility and stepped down.
Yeah.
This was a mistake that has deeply embarrassed Parliament and Canada. All of us who were in this House on Friday regret deeply having stood and clapped, even though we did so unaware of the context.
Unaware. Nobody else knew.
It was a horrendous violation of the memory of the millions of people who died in the Holocaust, and it was deeply, deeply painful for Jewish people. It also hurt Polish people, Roma people, 2S LGBTQI+ people, disabled people, racialized people, and the many millions who were targeted by the Nazi genocide.
I'm not a part of that list, so I guess it didn't offend me. Whew. Good. By the way, 2 SLGBTQI+ people, I don't think a lot of those letters were even around or used when the Nazis were there. I'm pretty sure the 2-Spirit people were like, nah, I'm not even a deal yet. So you're good with me, okay? 2-Spirit kind of seems made up in modern times. I could be wrong. Maybe it was somebody who was like, Linda Blair in The Exorcist. No, 2 spirits. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Maybe it was that back in the Nazis, but I'd be pretty cool with putting that person in a camp. But 2 spirits. Hey, let me ask you something. I'm just talking to those who are on the woke left. Seeing that there is no God, where does the first spirit come from, let alone the second spirit? Who's printing up spirits? And then one more piece here that is actually somebody who is speaking common sense, but they're also deeply offended by what happened in Canada, as I should be, but I'm not because I'm not part of that group that he mentioned. This is a Polish politician, a little unapologetic about their immigration stance. Watch.
How many refugees has Poland taken?
0.
And you're proud of that?
Mm-hmm. If you are asking me, if you are asking me about Muslims illegal immigration, none, not even one, will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland. We will not receive even one Muslim because this is what we promised.
But I asked not about illegal
failed.
Immigrants, I asked about refugees. And Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President, says that you're racist. You sound proud of the fact that you haven't taken any refugees.
Of course, because this is what our people are expecting from our government. That's number one. This is why our government was elected. But this is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we had not even one terrorist attack. Look at the streets in Poland. And we can be called populists, nationalists, racists. I don't care. I care about my family and about my country.
You're telling me that you'd rather be called those names than having bombings at cafes? That's how, ow, the stupidity just hurts so bad. We'll see you Monday. Good night.